This billionaire is going to teach us the easy way to get rich. Let's watch.
Most young entrepreneurs say, nah, I don't want to work for anybody. I said, yeah, you do actually. You do want to work for somebody. You want to just understand how all the cogs move. Just 24 months.
Steal from them.
And after that, launch. The first one will probably fail. You're going to start with your parents giving you $10,000 or whatever it is, friends and family. But you will have the baseline knowledge of your industry. You will know who the participants are. You will understand how it works. And you'll have a much higher probability of success. But the key is to launch sort of in your mid to early 20s, because you need to burn a few years failing. And that matters.
That's deep.
On the point of how to lead people, when people hear about Jobs' approach, they sometimes assume that you also have to be an arsehole. And this is the conflicting thing, because the world has changed since Jobs was in a leadership position. Things have gone a little bit more soft, shall one say. Have you seen all types of leadership win out in that regard? The direct, signal-focused, kind of brash approach, but also the kind approach?
I don't think kind works. I think respect works. The same number of assholes are out there being successful now as they were back in the 90s.
Nothing's changed, yeah. It
doesn't matter whether you're an asshole or whether people like you or not. I mean, people get so stuck on this stuff. It's the team you're building are not your friends. They are the team you're building to execute on a mandate. Your customers come first. They're more important. And then, of course, the employees, and how are they respected or not. There are people that work for me I don't like. It doesn't matter. I respect them. I respect their ability to execute.
They're not your friends.
That, above all, is the most important thing. If you start getting into interpersonal relationships, you will fail, because you may have to fire that person one day. People that hire family take huge risk. Nepotism's a horrible disease. It's some of the greatest private companies on earth never let the kids run them. They just put them on the board and they hire professional management. That's how they keep wealth multi-generational. Think about Tetra Pak, for example. People may not know that name, but it's a massive successful company. IKEA. I mean, it's sort of, you have to learn those lessons. It's about respect in both directions. It's not about likability or softness or some social
employees
metric. It really isn't. And trying to redefine leadership that way because it's on trend, it's not going to work.
I started my first business at 12 years old. And
now Kevin's about to go into how to find great people to work for your startup or for your company, but he also mentioned something about buying a robot. This is the most replayed part. Most people watch this part we're about to watch. So let's dive into it.
You want the eclectic ones. You want the ones that are not just robots. Working. It's going to be cheaper to get a robot if you want a robot. I'm going to buy those too when they come available. But
crazy. Optimus.
I want
Tesla's
people
one
that have creative and unusual solutions that, just think outside of the box. It's really interesting that way.
The other thing that everybody wants to hear from you about is how to keep and grow your wealth. Because, making wealth, I kind of understand through the lens of entrepreneurship, take a big bet, hopefully have an exit or, draw a dividend or make profit from a company you've started. But in terms of what you did and your relationship with your money, what is the most important things for someone to understand who's just trying to grow their money?
I learned this from my mother, and I actually built a whole indexing company around it. When I was very young, I found out something so she was fiercely independent. She's one of 3 daughters of Lebanese descent. My Irish father, my original father, biological father, was Irish.
I see.
She didn't, there she is, Georgette. So
he's about to cry. Bless him. Stephen Barley is good at this, by the way. I've never seen so many people cry on a podcast. He's good at triggering emotions. And this goes to show you, beyond money, we're still humans. And I've always said, if it's possible for one, it's possible for all,
I haven't seen that picture in a while.
Bless him, man. They're just humans, man. Billionaire, and if you want a Chiefs, bless him, man.
She was
bless
very
him.
independent.
This is sad.
And she never ever wanted a man to control her life, so she started at an early age when she was working for her father. They paid the girls, the family all worked there, and she worked in the accounting department and billing, but she got paid cash. And so she would take 20% of that cash each week, and she would put it into 2 asset classes: stocks that pay dividends, large cap stocks, and telco bonds. 7-year telco bonds paid about 6.5% to 8% back then. She bought the long bonds, and she had that portfolio for 55 years. Wow. She never spent any of the principal, only the dividends and the interest. She put my brother and I through college. And, you know, she took care of her family and her sisters when they fell on hard times. But her rule is very simple: no more than 5% in any one stock or bond of the portfolio, and no more than 20% in any one sector, ever, ever. So when a stock ran up past 5, she'd sell it down. This is not genius. This is just diversification. And when she passed, and I was the older brother, and I saw the portfolio, because the lawyer said, listen, you got to come down here. You're the executor of her will. And I said, yeah, but you know, my mother was middle class. He said, no, you got to come down here. She kept her account secret from both of her husbands. She wanted her own independent money. And back then you could do that. And damn, I mean, what that portfolio did. The performance was extraordinary. It was beyond any hedge fund guy or anything. 55 years. When I saw the results, I said, that's it. That's how I'm going to invest for the rest of my life. Exactly the way Georgette did. No more than 5% in any one stock ever, no matter what it is, and no more than 20% in any one sector, with the exception of real estate, which is a very large part of what I have in net worth. And it's a third. So that's broken the rule, but there's reasons for that, and I'm very happy with that portfolio. But if everybody that's listening to this does that, they will maintain and grow their wealth. But it's people bet, they make big bets. They think they're so damn right. They put half their net worth into one sector or one stock, and they get wiped out. That's what happens.
So would your mother pick the stocks herself, or would she invest in an index fund?
Good question.
She indexed.
She used it. So, okay.
Even back then, you know, they didn't have ETFs, but they had mutual funds that said the only stock in this mutual fund it doesn't have any debt and it pays dividends. You know, whatever. They were very rudimentary back then. They were just collections of stocks. I think she had like 28 names or something like that in the portfolio. But if you looked at them, they were really boring large cap names. But they were sectorally diverse. There wasn't 10 sectors back then. There wasn't 11. There was 10. So they didn't have real estate as a sector. So, but you know, I looked at it saying, wow, these are really boring.
You learned a lot about money from your early upbringing, right? From that early context.
Yeah, because what she said to me was, look, you know, I even do this today with wealthy people. Call me up all the time and say, look, you know, they get divorced. This very wealthy woman got divorced recently, and she said, look, I'm divorcing, and she was a billionaire. She was divorcing. She was more multi-billionaire. And so she said, look, I'm getting everybody's calling me up to be my advisor because I'm separating from my husband. It's all his guys that did all the management of our family wealth. Would you be my advisor? I said, no, I don't do that. But, you know, I can just give you some basic advice, and you can hire people that stick on the mandate. And I gave her Georgette's strategy, but I had her do something else too. I said, let's get a piece of paper. You're a billionaire. Let's put everything on this piece of paper on the last 90 days that you've spent on, whatever the hell it is, I don't care. And let's put on, no computer, no spreadsheet, on this, let's look at all the income that you've made off your portfolio as it stands now, whether it's gold you have or land or stocks or bonds. Let's just do a gut check on, do you outspend yourself? She said, why would I give a shit? I said, wouldn't you like to know how much money you're burning living your lifestyle the way you live it? Just out of interest. Maybe you have enough for the rest of your life, but maybe you want to give some of it to your family one day or give it to charity. Wouldn't you like to know? Because one of my rules is never outspend yourself on any 30 or 60-day cycle, ever. Just ever. I don't have any debt. So I'm very careful about that.
Whoa, let's hear that
We went
again.
through this little thing.
Let's hear that again.
Off on any 30 or 60-day cycle, ever. Just ever. I don't have any debt. So I'm very careful about that. And we went through this little thing. She freaked out. She was pissing away money, just bleeding hundreds of thousands of dollars a week. I mean, I don't care how rich you are. You don't want to be stupid. And I said, does that shock you? One or two things has to happen. I mean, you're losing millions of dollars a quarter. Like, why? Why? Like, you've had nobody restrict what you do with your money? Because you're going to have to sell stocks at some point or sell gold or sell land to keep this up. And are you really that happy? Like, what's all this shit you're buying? Like, what is all this crap that you don't need? It was an eye-opener for her. So my point is, most people don't do that exercise. I don't care if you're only making $56,000 a year or 68, the average salary.
So are you in the camp that you shouldn't spend money on the small things, like the coffee? If you don't need it, you should make the coffee at home. Is that kind of...
I can't stand it when I see kids that are making 70 grand a year spending $28 for lunch. I mean, that's just stupid. It's just, think about that in the context of that being put into an index and making 8 to 10% a year for the next 50 years.
What's an index for someone that doesn't?
So, okay, I mean, you know, I even built an app for this purpose, just so I could, there's many apps out there, you don't have to use mine. Mine's called Beanstocks, but you just allocate 15% of your salary and it automatically puts it into two buckets, some stocks and some bonds. The stocks are ETFs, exchange traded funds that just track the S&P 500, very simply. Mine's
the S&P 500 is the top 500 stock.
So here they go talking about the S&P 500 stocks index and all of that, which a ton of you guys already should know. But if you don't know, ETF, electronically traded funds, think of it as a basket of companies, top 500 best performing companies. And when you invest, your money gets spread out throughout all of them. You're less likely to lose your money. Why? Because if a company is not performing well, it gets dropped and then it gets replaced by a new one. So basically, you've invested into the best. Essentially, you've invested into the companies that are running America, if that makes sense. So you're less likely to lose your money because it's spread out. The ultimate diversification. For me, I use that as money preservation. And most rich people, they actually stand by this law, because you want to be a tiny bit more risky when you're trying to build up, because if you've got small money, when you preserve it, it's not really going to grow. But if you've got small money, the best way to do it is to force it to grow by investing in companies that are a bit more volatile, but you just have to do your research. I do have to be honest with you. They do go into that quite a bit. But we're going to go into the next juicy part that a ton of people have replayed as well.
Stupidest thing you can ever do. It took your whole life. To actually create this nest egg. Could be, you know, you're 45 or whatever, you've got a comfortable life, and all of a sudden you don't like your wife or husband. Think about that for a while, because you are going to wipe out up to 2/3 of your wealth. You better really like somebody else a lot. And frankly, sometimes it's not the other person that you're divorcing, it's you. You're the problem. If you're getting married for the third time, you're a guy or a woman, it's not them, it's you. There's something wrong with you. And you should probably not get into another economic union. You should probably just date till you drop dead, because it's stupid. Marriages are tough. I mean, they're tough. Anybody who's been married for more than 20 years knows exactly what I'm talking about. But they accrue more benefit than you know, anything. So if you're happy 51% of the day with your wife, stay with him or her. Husband or wife, that's very important.
How often do you think divorces are a result of money issues?
Well, you may be shocked at this. I wrote a book about this, and I decided Men, Women, and Money a long time ago, 10 years plus. Right there it is. And I did some research, and I went to meet some of the top divorce in New York, in Boston, and other cities. And I said, look, I want to kind of do a pie chart of reasons for divorce that 50% seemed to end in divorce within 5 to 7 years. Every one of them, they didn't know each other, said it's not infidelity. Nothing to do with it. Most marriages can survive infidelity. They can't survive financial stress. And so what happens invariably is you fall in love, but you didn't do any due diligence on that person's spending habits or their financial history, because l'amore is so wonderful in the early days. You didn't do any diligence on their family or them or their brother or bankruptcy in the past or whatever it is. And then you get married and, you know, the euphoria starts to wear off and you notice that the other is outspending you. Just buying a lot of stuff beyond your means. And that starts the first friction.
And don't forget that the person you're dealing with at the beginning of the relationship is the representative, is the best version of themselves they've put forward. And then after that starts to peel away, you start to see who's really behind it. Not because they're wicked, because we're just humans. You want to put your best foot forward, right? You start to see the real person. Okay, maybe, you know, I don't quite. So if you can't go through it then you've just destroyed your life. Because when things go bitter, it goes from lovebirds to literally World War I, II, enemy with coming at you with vengeance, wanting to strip away everything from you, kids included if you have them. So I would say think carefully when it comes to that.
And then that credit card comes in with $100,000 on it at 23% interest.
That she spent or he.
Another purse was bought or whatever the hell it is. And you're starting to sink. Because you may have married somebody who can't stop spending. This is just
going to ruin what you're building.
There are people that can't have no discipline. They just can't. They got to have the boat. They got to have this. They got to have that, and they pressure their other to say, "Look, I want to keep up with the Joneses next door, even though they may only each have a salary of $100,000 each. Can't do it, and they have kids, and they're trying to put them through college." That's divorce. That's why almost 90% of unions break up is that classic financial pressure. And divorce gets them out of that mess because they can no longer spend on your credit card anymore, but it's a horrible way to go. So I'm an investor in a company called Hello Prenup that does divorces prenups for women. And prenups force during the euphoric period diligence. It's that simple. You're going to find out if that person has a financial problem going into the marriage. They have to disclose their financial background.
So you talk about these 5 love languages of money. The mooch, someone who won't pay for anything.
Right.
Should I date someone like that?
It's a warning signal. It's a problem.
It's a problem.
Or they don't really want you for companionship. They just want you for financial support.
The spendaholic, someone who always offers to pay for everything to appear popular and successful.
Bad warning sign. Huge. I mean, that is insecurity measurable by cash outlay.
The loafer, someone who has no ambition and drive for money.
Avoid with extreme prejudice.
The thief,
wait.
Avoid cash outlay.
The loafer, someone who has no ambition and drive for money.
Avoid with extreme prejudice.
The thief, someone who steals.
You can have no tolerance for that.
And the meanie, a balanced spender who lives within their means.
Love that. Marry a meanie. That's it. Those are the marriages that last an entire life. That's it. That's what you're looking for. That's great advice right there. Whatever the book costs, that's the best value right there. And then ask yourself, am I dating one of these or not? You know, you should talk about money on the third date. Think about a date. Think about dating. First date. Oh my goodness, this is a really interesting person. Or not. Then there's never a second date. Second date, I want to learn more. I'm really interested. You're going into a third date, there's something going on. There's something going on. You both want to meet again. That's the first time you should say, look, I know this is crazy, but we're here together a third time because something's going on here. And I'm just wondering, what are your long-term goals? I mean, it's not about our marriage or anything else other than we're having a great time, but what are your ambitions? I'm really interested in you. I'd like to know what you think. And maybe the woman says, or the guy says, "What, are you checking me out?" You say, "Yeah. Yeah, I'm really interested in you." It's a form of finding out if the connection, I should be a marriage counselor. That's what I think. I mean, it's really, dating is the dance, but it should involve exploring where we're going financially.
For many years,
Wow.
you've probably seen this iPad
That's
sat in front
amazing.
of me.
I think this comment in the comment section sums up the entirety of this video, okay? My defining moment. I was an assistant manager at Walmart in the 80s. As I'm working a 36-hour shift, yes, you read that correctly, you read that right, an older couple asked me a few questions about products. I answered their questions and they walked off. I was up on a ladder when they came back. They asked my name and said, "You are more than this job. You are meant for better opportunities. We both feel it. I hope you realize this." And they walked away. I quit 4 weeks later and went to a trade school. I'm celebrating 27 years owning my own business. My question to you is, how long are you going to watch videos like this and still not take action? Do you think I make these videos for fun, for the sake of it? For crazy amount of views? No, I make this video to be able to touch at least one person, because these are videos that I consume in my spare time to rewire my brain, to make sure that I'm more perspicacious. What opportunities are around? What could I take advantage of that will better my future? Because I know a good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children. It's legacy essentially, but legacy also doesn't feed the kids. It won't put food on the plate. So you actually need resources, aka money, something that you own that's going to allow you to make money exponentially. If you're still working for someone else, I'm not telling you quit right away, but all I'm saying is, at the same time, make sure you're working on what you need to be working on. Your side hustle, side business, reselling, whatever it is that you can see, I've got leverage or an advantage of this, because it comes way easier to me where other people struggle with it. That's how you know it's something that you're good at. What comes easy to you but other people struggle to do it, they always compliment you. Wow, you're really good at this. That's what you need to focus on. If not, you will get decimated, because when another worldwide situation happens, if you know what I mean, back in a 2020 something, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You're going to be scratching your head. You have no income, you have nowhere to go. So please, on top of liking the video, because this was value packed, liking the video, let me know your comments in the comment section. What are you currently working on? In fact, make this a pact where you say, okay, cool, I'm going to comment in the comment section. From today onwards, I'm going to start X business and see how it goes. Let that situation be known in the comment section down below. And you, my friend, I'll catch you in another video. God bless you so much. Take